that my enthusiasm needs to be higher, and Doug and I had talked about that. But Friday was, and it's the start of the semester, so they've only been in this classroom for 5 days, and I've been the only person that's been their teacher. So they were finally like more upbeat on Friday. I found some new ways to like get them going in the morning, and I'm still exploring some of those. But Friday, like finally, I felt like there was some rapport and some more enthusiasm. So that was exciting. Granted, it was Friday, but that was still a cool thing. And at Juncture, which we just were discussing this, there's been multiple, a lot around the area of Clarity, but this one, I did an inquiry lab, the bubblegum lab actually, which is way different when you do with high school students, by the way. And just came to some realization, like IEPs are real, and like you really have to hit some things on those. One, I just know where they're at, and I know like what I did wrong to set them up for the success, but also what is just still really, really hard for them. So that we just discussed that, and I just set up some different stuff for tomorrow to really help them through that. And it's going to take a couple days longer, but it's really important to really set them up for success in the rest of the semester. So that was my Juncture.
Great. Thanks, Kayla. Mr. Snyder.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. So my biggest joy, I think, today was in my intro to welding class, I have so many different safety tests that they have to take before we allow them to start welding. And I think there's 9 of them total. And they've only had them for probably 2 days now. And one of the students only has 2 more to take. And whenever my first impression of the student was, which I know this is probably wrong, but I didn't think that they were going to apply themselves a whole lot. And they've really surprised me with, the work they've done so far on these tests, because, they know that as soon as they get those done, the more time they get to work and eventually get to their projects. And I would say my Juncture, the main one would have to be my first week here. On Friday, Mr. Kessler had a doctor's appointment, so it was just me and the sub here. And that was the final day that everyone had to get their welds done and get their engines running and get their electrical wirings done. So it was like mad chaos in the shop, with kids welding and trying to get their engines fired up and, plugging in their electrical wirings to see if they work and trying to do all the grading and watch them. It was just, I finally felt like I was an actual teacher and trying to manage that. So that would be my Juncture.
Great, Matt. You were what's it called? Exposed by fire, or what? I forget what the saying is, but you just like jumped right into it, huh?
Yeah, it was a pretty intense day.
Good. Thank you, Matt. All right, Mr. Ryder.
Okay. So it's crazy because feel like I have similar things to like everything you guys have said so far. We had Mrs. Hoy was out on the Tuesday after farm show, and I tried to like fill in and teach her lessons. And that was like crazy hard. But I don't know, to be honest. I think the joy for me has got to be, every once in a while, like a student will actually understand something I'm trying to teach them. And like when that happens, it's pretty awesome. And when that works out, like, I think that's definitely the joy. So like, well, I had some 9th grade girls, and I'm teaching livestock to them, and they were like all excited after class. Like we had kind of finished 8th period, it's the end of the day. And, I was given like the last 2 minutes to like, whatever, get ready to go and stuff. And, but these girls were like, Mr. Ryder, ask us a question. Like they wanted more, right? Like, so I asked a few questions to review with them. My Juncture is probably in general, just like all of the students that I have, like none of them are, I don't know if to say this right, but like none of them are performing at the level that I expected when I was writing my lesson plans. Like, and it's very challenging to try to do certain things with students who like can't read, or like reading, no way. Like almost none of these kids can read or can't be expected to read. And it's like, it's really changing the way I think about how I'm going to have to shape my lessons. And it's like, it's frustrating, and it's also like making me realize like that's what made me realize like I gotta, like, there's so much more I have to teach these kids. It's not just, I can't just be like, oh, this is my lesson, this is what I'm going to teach them. It's like there's just so much more involved. That's all.
I believe that, Matt, you are not alone in that. I think that you'll find that a lot of teachers struggle with that and having to kind of, for lack of a better term, make up for what other disciplines maybe haven't really achieved. But you sound a little defeated, but you're doing good things. Like I said, Ms. Hoy has nothing but good things to say. So keep that chin up. All right, Michael, you're up, dude.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, I took my microphone out. So I guess I feel like Mr. Biddle is doing a really good job of like teaching me really good things to do that I feel like I can put into practice when I am a teacher. So he especially emphasizes like building a relationship or rapport with administrators and with other teachers, because they're kind of critical to your success and your support. Another joy, I was a little bit nervous about the rapport I would build with my students, because I wanted to make sure that they knew that I cared about like them as my students, and I wanted them to learn and to feel safe in my classroom. So I feel like I was worried about that, but it's sort of been pretty positive experience. So that's been good. A juncture, I think I would echo, I think what Kayla and Matt Ryder is talking about is, it just seems like there's, when I thought about differentiation before, I thought about only students with IEPs and trying to differentiate my instruction to cater to their specific needs. But I think that also what I didn't really realize was that there's going to be like students who are perfectly capable, but they just don't want to. Like they're just not motivated to put in the effort, and they don't even care if they get like an F on an important assignment. So that's something that I want to learn, is like, how do I really like motivate those students to work while they're at school, I guess.
Good. Well, not that I want to jump ahead, but these are things to keep in mind as we try and identify our topics for these online meetings. Differentiation might be one that you guys want to consider. But moving on, Miranda, Ms. Kane.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. So first I want to say I'm sorry if I like start losing my voice or start coughing or something. I hit really bad with like cold sinus stuff going on, so not fun. That's definitely a reality, I guess, of teaching, is trying to teach through the sickness. So again, sorry for that. But let's see. So a joy for me. So I guess one of my not concerns, but something that I think was going to be a challenge for me last semester was being flexible and being able to adapt, because I like to have things planned out and organized, and I was worried that if something didn't go the way that I was planning on having it go, that I might get a little flustered or something. But it actually is quite the opposite here, and I'm finding that it's a lot easier for me to adapt and just be flexible and make those changes. And there's been a couple of times where Mr. Clark has had to step out for a meeting, or he had to do something at the dugout or something, because you guys came and saw that dugout project. And he asked me like right before the class started, "Hey, Miss Kane, can you take over the class today?" And I was like, sure. So I had to teach the class, and I didn't really, I mean, he told me what he wanted me to do with them, and it wasn't anything too complex. And having observed, I was able to see what was going on. But I was still, I think if you asked me to do that last semester, I would have been like, no way, Jose, I'm not ready for that at all. But I was just able to take it and go with it. And I think that he really saw that and appreciated that. And I think that that's a growing thing for me. So flexibility is something, and that's his little vocab word for me for the week, is flexibility. So I'm glad that I'm doing well with that. Juncture for me, I would have to say there's, out of all of my classes, so all of my classes are pretty good, but there's one that's my welding class, 4 students, and not all of them show up all the time. Most of them didn't sign up for the class, so they weren't really like, they didn't really want to take the class to begin with, so they're not very motivated. And I know there was one girl that was like deathly afraid of using the welder. They just got done oxyacetylene, and she didn't take her test for it. Like, she didn't do the oxyacetylene because she was afraid to do that. And I sense a little bit of, I want to say like rebellion in her. Like, she just doesn't want to do work to begin with. So I think that that's a really huge mountain that I'm going to have to climb with that class. But I started on Friday with them, and I just did introductory stuff. And I said, okay, guys, I'm not going to talk about welding at all. Like, we're just going to talk about, I don't know, who I am and getting to know you and stuff like that. And then today I actually did, so the summer reading book that we did for, like, we all picked our educational books. There was an activity in there called The Power of Choice. And I had them do, basically they like identify things that they think they have to do, and then they realize that those are actually things they choose to do, but they just don't like the alternative so maybe like they have to go to school and they think that they have to do that, but in reality they choose to go to school. They don't like the alternative of not, you know, getting in trouble by their parents or not having a job or something. So to simplify that activity, that's basically what I did with them. And I think that kind of got through to them in a, even if they're not willing to weld in the future, at least that they understand that like they have the power to choose that. And I think I went over my expectations and stuff and kind of tried to find middle ground with them, as far as like, okay, if you're not welding, you're doing work instead. So I think that's what you mean by juncture, that, you know, I think it's something I'm working on and trying to get through that with them, because that's something that I think has to be hands-on, and if they're not trying it and not doing it, I have to think of an alternative in that way. So that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Miranda. And last but not least, Mr. Reppitz.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can. Can you hear us? Oh.
I hear you, Nate. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, I'm sounding a little rough there, but good to hear you, buddy.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ewing. So I just wanted to make sure we're good. I'll start talking. So for my joy, it's really just the overall experience, I believe, of building rapport, whether it's the administration or the students in my classes. I've kind of been around the 5th and 8th period Ag 1 classes since, you know, I came to do my life knowledge lesson. I did it for those classes. Those were the first ones that I took over. Then after that, you know, the first few days I'm noticing they're going to be really hesitant with a new guy up in front of them. But there was this almost magic moment last week where the beginning of my unit was a little more, we have to get through this basic knowledge stuff. Now we're getting into activities where we can have some fun. And I felt that moment where we had built rapport, and then we were like the particular topic just struck a certain note with them where all of a sudden the whole class was talking, responding to questions where previously they were just sitting there looking at me up there in front of them. So that has been my greatest single joy, the biggest moment so far. And I even saw that continue through to today. And I'm looking to have a lot of fun times with those guys. And as far as a juncture goes, I'm almost a little concerned. I won't say concerned, but I don't feel like I've had a true bad, hard uphill moment so far. So I'm waiting for it. But a defining moment was actually yesterday where Mr. Brown went home sick. Mr. Turner said that's the second time he's seen that happen in 20 years. So then at the second half of that day, I went from being the third person, kind of tag along in the back or maybe up front doing this or that, to it was like I was the other teacher in the program, where usually if Mr. Brown takes kids here and Mr. Turner takes kids here, I could choose who do I want to go observe. Now I had to be the teacher that took, the seniors to the shop, or 7th and 8th period, I had to give the midterm and then the final for midterm and a final for those two classes. And I was just me in the room proctoring it. So that was my first defining moment of me alone in the classroom with those students, but it went well. And that's about all there is to that.
Good. I'm glad it went well. Again, kind of like Matt, you were kind of forced to do it. And so it sounds like you did well. So wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Nate. Dr. Foster and Dr. Ewing have since joined us since we started. So I'm going to open it up if they have anything they would like to share in the opening moments here.
Can you hear me? What usually happens, gang, is that for Nathan, that defining moment or that juncture might occur tomorrow when I'm visiting. That's how it happens. It's when your university supervisor shows up and things happen that are funny. By the way, I love seeing your faces. And I can also tell when you're starting to zone out, or when, Miranda, you go get your little lunch there, or who was it that I was laughing at? I don't know. I think it was Matt. Matt, you just look pissed. Don't look pissed. Come on. We're here. Eye contact here. All right. Well, I appreciate Dr. Ross putting this together. This is the first time for us to use Zoom. And quite frankly, I feel like this is much more like I feel connected to you. So I really appreciate the great things you're sharing. A lot of things are happening here on campus. And as I have a slow moment at the evening and I'm thinking and reflecting, I realize how much of all the good things that are happening, the reason people want to work here is because of the hard work of students like you and what you're doing out there now. So know that it does matter. Know that you sharing what it's really like, that day-to-day interaction in the high school classroom that all of our students strive for. On something as silly, I don't like using the word silly, something as small as a tweet here and there. You're telling the story every week of school-based ag education, and we're referring to it and sharing it. It's making a difference, and I'm just saying thanks. So, yeah, it's fun. But thanks, Dr. Ross. Appreciate you letting me say something.
I'll jump in very quickly. My first question is, where's my camera? I plan to find that. I do plan to find that before our next meeting, just so you know. And I used to have a laptop, and it was like right there. But seriously, I'm sitting in my office right now saying, I don't have a camera. Okay, so beyond that, very excited. Like Dr. Foster said, lots of things happening here on campus, keeping us busy, but also trying to follow what's happening out there in the field. So very excited to start my visits here very soon. I think next week to be exact. So looking forward to getting back in the classroom and seeing all of you putting all of that learning into practice. I know you're doing it already, but I want to be there and see it. Also excited because the graduation list came to me today. So yes, I love seeing that face, Miss Hack. Very good. Hope everyone saw that. For those of you that are graduating, I know a few of you, have that on pause, which is cool. So I didn't expect to see your names, but I did see everyone's name I expected except for one. And like I said, Kayla gave herself away. So nice job. Beyond that, yes, would you like to see?
I am going to graduate. I just forgot to turn in the paperwork. I emailed her. Don't worry.
That very good. So
that's not really a good thing to forget. It seems kind of odd. Like, oh, oops. Well, stay another semester. I forgot to do that email.
Yeah, so pretty important thing, But anyhow, looking forward for those of you that will not be officially graduating because of other commitments, whatever it may be, looking forward to still helping you process through so that ultimately you'll have your certification when this is all said and done. You are in a very important stage of getting to that point. And so just keep up the good work, and looking forward to seeing what folks are doing out there, and looking forward to seeing all of you back on February. So that's all for now, unless you have questions for me. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. So just to reiterate, this is our first of 6 faculty meetings that we'll be having over the course of this semester. And so tonight is basically an orientation to kind of set up how these meetings are kind of run, see what is expected of you, and also just to allow you time to decide what you want these online faculty meetings to focus on. So the first order of business tonight is to select the topics. You would like these faculty meetings to center on. And so on the screen, you should be able to see a list of topics that have been covered in the past. These are for you to look at and to get an idea of how these online meetings have been used in the past, but you do not have to do these. And so I'm going to open up the floor for some discussion, or you can use the group chat to maybe type in your preference. But basically we have 5 meetings left, and we need 5 different topics. And so before this meeting is done tonight, we have to make that decision.
Differentiation.
I agree with Cahill. Differentiation. I think that should be a big topic. I've been trying to figure out different ways to do that, but that would be awesome.
That's kind of broad, guys. I don't know. I just, how I am. I try to be very specific. Okay, so what are we going to deliver? So when you say differentiation, talk to me about what that sounds and looks like, so you'd be happy with that investment of time. Is it me going to get a College of Education professor who works in that arena?
So Cahill, you should pitch in here too. But I have a GIEP student, so a gifted individualized education plan student, in the same room as I have multiple IEP students. So how do I differentiate in there with tests? How do I differentiate in assignments? How do I differentiate when I want to use interactive notebooks, but I need to use guided notes? Or I have students that have absolutely terrible handwriting, and it's in their IEP to use digital, different stuff like that. So that's just my quick 2 cents.
Yeah, can I say something about that too? I just wanted to add in, going along with what Kayla just said. I have a student who is working on days of the week as his spelling words, days of the week. So trying to just have him even write about what his SAE is, or anything at all, any type of writing or whatever is very challenging. And it's like a point where it's like, I noticed even working with all of the students, I spend too much time with each student trying to give them the guidance I think they deserve or they need. And then I move to another student. So even working with students who aren't challenged, I find that I'm missing some, and I'm not actually able to get around to all of them. So now you're thrown on top of that. I'm getting this student who, like I said, just is very, 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 he's like 3rd grade level. So it's, how do I address that without sacrificing what I owe to the other students?
Okay, I'll do the best I can to find somebody to share, but I don't ever like disappointing you, and I've been through enough of these things where they come in and they'll tell you things like what you guys just listed off. like, oh yeah, those are best practices. That's what you need to do. And it's not easy. And I know why you're frustrated, but I'm just like worried that you're not going to get something new. But I'll put some feelers out and see if I can find something. Let's go ahead and continue to brainstorm different spots. So you don't have to avoid the topics on there. What she was telling you is that those were topics that had been provided in the previous years that were a concern immediately. But this is kind of a way to be responsive to your needs. I feel like by giving you that list, it's like us sharing, okay, this is common stuff that's concerned with by new teachers that people usually accomplish in teacher education programs in venues like this. We've actually used these online meetings to help you meet people and do things so that we don't jam them all into a seminar at the end. I would go ahead and probably tell you to set aside the young farmer type program because you're going to be the first group ever that we just said, hey, Doyle, we're going to come visit you at Berlin Brothers and we're going to see how you do it. We're going to experience the Young Farmers event. And so instead of doing an online session in the evening, that's going to be one night in your post-internship seminar. What other ideas and thoughts? So like, give you one more example, then I'll stop talking. Like that case project, when we did that, we'd bring in Dan Jansen or somebody from National Case and maybe a teacher on at the same time and talk about how they use it and answer questions. But the programming changes and shifts every year so much, and where we take y'all might have already heard that 3 times where you don't want to hear it again. So I don't know.
I can't see Dr. Rice's slideshow anymore. I don't know what I did wrong.
It's okay, I'll read it to you and then y'all can think. She's got classroom management, case project, what is it? The Pennsylvania FFA Foundation, SAE visitations, budgets, developing, sustaining, and growing alumni, college and career readiness, CDE team prep and integration, community stakeholders and advisory board, and time management training.
Better get that time management training.
I think the biggest one for me here would be motivating low-performing students. So, because we have a lot of students that, you know, the last quarter they had a 19% because they say it was a welding class. They never even took the safety tests, so therefore they couldn't complete all the welds, or just something to incentivize and motivate these students.
Thanks, Matt. That's a good suggestion.
I'd second that too. What Matt Snyder just says.
Yeah, I would agree as well, specifically with welding.
Yeah, I think going along with that, like I feel like we're taught that like it's kind of like it's our fault. Like if we can't motivate them, it's our fault. Like why can't I motivate these kids? And some of these kids, it's like really challenging. So yeah, any help I can get on that, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think like some specific strategies or ways to go about it.
Sure.
I would agree with the motivation, not just with students like that seem like unmotivated, but like I have classes where like I stand up in front of the classroom and I'm teaching and like they do exactly as I say, but like they give me no feedback. So like I don't know if they're not motivated, but like just understanding their level and then feeding to that and to like help bring the motivation up then, if you understand what I mean.
I do. Hey, that's awesome. So I'm not pushing that off at all. Laura and I will work together and we'll find somebody somewhere that we feel can share a practical viewpoint on student motivation. I am going to remind you, because I believe in just-in-time interventions, and I know that by hearing your voice, I think that was almost unanimous, you're concerned about this now. I'm going to remind you of 2 things. 1, student motivation. Sometimes there's not a shortcut. Student motivation is genuinely grounded in rapport and relationships. So when you ask me what is the greatest tool any ag teacher has for student motivation, it's the SAE visit. However, I understand you can't visit all those kids. So kind of create your own little world. Say, hey, I remember it was tough. I was so scared. I had this one kid, he was a jackass. Oh my God. I was student teaching in Duncan, Arizona. His name was, what was his name? Jeremy? I think it was Jeremy. 4th period. I remember that because I couldn't wait for lunch. And I said finally, hey, tomorrow, you and I are going to sit down together. I just want to learn more about you. Like that's how it was I said, I just need 5 minutes. So to think about if you have certain students, if you need a champion in each class, of doing a 5-minute SAE visit. And if you don't want to use the languaging SAE, just do 5-minute get to know you. But start trying to build around that relationship and rapport, which can help you figure out what trips the trigger, because there's something there. So that's just one idea for immediate use right now as you go out. I do think it's funny when y'all talk about they're compliant, but they're not engaged. I think that there's some thoughtfulness for you to explore there about who's working harder, the teacher or the student. And I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm always scared to give some of this advice because I don't want to sound flippant. It takes work, but it's something to think about there. Who's working harder, the student or the teacher? Okay. So we've got differentiation. We've got student motivation, particularly of lower performing students. What other topics?
So I actually already reached out on this one, but I didn't know if it would be for somebody, if other people have any other ideas, but literacy is a big topic. And I reached out to Laura Hasselquist, who Miranda, Matt, and I met at the FAST program at NAE, just because I'm like, help me, because vocab, like I know that vocab is a big problem, and academic vocab and content vocab, and just learn from Laura that there's multiple tiers and all of this stuff. And so literacy is a topic that I have realized I'm really passionate about, and I really think that literacy in ag and literacy in science look a lot different than literacy anywhere else. But that's me being very, very nerdy, and I've already reached out. So if it's not necessarily something other people really, really want right now, then I completely understand, and I will just keep calling Laura and being a little bit annoying to her.
That's awesome, Kayla.
Can I say something about that? Because I think I like what you just said, something about that, like literacy in ag and science is different than literacy everywhere else. And I think I would love to hear what people think about being able to work on literacy in both areas. Like I feel challenged to reach that science and ag literacy when I feel like I have to teach my students some like basic literacy stuff. So that might be something, I don't know if any of that's involved with what you've heard yet, Kayla, but that's definitely something that interests me.
Okay, we'll see what we can do there.
Sorry, whoever's saying, go ahead.
All right, well, thanks. I just want to put in a quick word for budgets and budgeting, specifically with FFA chapters and the funds raised there. I can always hear Dr. Foster echoing the two things that get ag teachers fired are money and morals. And I want to see more into the money side of that. What should we do? What can't we do? Because I feel like in student teaching, we can dive into it with our cooperating teachers, but I feel like we're never going to get a full dose of what that's like to handle funds like that until it's time for us. So not necessarily to benefit in student teaching, but benefit beyond. I'd like to hear budget.
Thanks, Nate. Hey, Ryder, stop swinging back and forth. You're freaking me out, man. All right, what other feedback do you have? I've got 4 topics here. We've identified budgets, literacy strategy, student motivation, and differentiation.
So something that we were talking about today, Mr. Clark and I, about CDEs, and I see on the list the CDE team prep integration. And our philosophy is kind of similar, that we don't like teaching to CDEs, just like we all agree, like we don't really like teaching to a standardized test. So we don't like the idea of teaching to a CDE, but we like incorporating that in. So I guess if we could have a discussion on how to find that happy medium of, introducing the CDE and saying this is an avenue with FFA, but not specifically like training your students in class. I think that would be a neat topic that I'd be interested in. I don't know if everyone else is in that same boat.
Thanks, Miranda. I would remind you, just because I can't resist, that CDEs were written by teachers for teacher, cross-reference the standards. And so I don't agree it's always a solution, but I also have no fear when teachers say, I'm using the CDE to guide my unit of instruction, when they can back it up with assessment and aligning. So I couldn't let you go with saying that don't teach like you said, to the CDE. Well, it's developed by educators for educators. So, of course, as soon as I say that, you may be envisioning what I call the extreme. There's not, you got to have that happy medium. You're right.
Yeah, that's kind of what, like, I'll have a day where I might say, like, this is what that CDE would look like. So I'm doing, like, food science, so I might do that. But to not have to spend, like, 2 or 3 weeks teaching that whole CDE, that would be.
Yeah, so, but the example, if I was teaching food science and I would probably integrate an assignment of product development and use the guidelines of the product development of the CDE and use the rubric to evaluate them, which would be a part of the class, and I'd scaffold instruction around it, but it would also be preparing them for the CDE.
That's exactly what my new food product unit is. If you want to look at that, Miranda, I can share it with you. But that's exactly what it is. It's like basically aligns with what they're expected to do for the food science and technology CDE.
So anyway, there's a lot of ways to make sure. I think obviously it's worth, we have interesting conversations and we're all growing and developing our identity there. So that's good. All right. Are there other comments?
Not to add like another thing, but for my introduction to agriculture class, we sort of already have like the units planned out and everything, but just thinking about like when I'm an ag teacher, like I think that the introduction classes are important because some of the younger students are sort of exploring what it would mean to be in agriculture education. So just some like really cool like ideas for introduction to agriculture level courses that could be part of a beginning program.
Introduction, engaging activities. Let me see what we can do. Michael, on the short term, don't forget about, I think y'all shared it as a group, but there was like a booklet of activities from Ellen Thompson that has a lot of things that really lines up with what you just shared. I think that was given to Caleb Snyder and Hack. Make sure I think y'all probably shared it, but you might remember Ellen Thompson's book of activities, her and Natasha Mortensen pulled together.
Thank you.
All right.
I have an extra book of that too, so if someone needs that, I can hand that to you.
It's like a hard copy? Is that what it is, Miranda?
Yeah.
Why don't you mail it to Cahill? Make Greenwood School District pay for it. Drop it in the mail.
All right.
You tell Pontius I said that. Say, Pontius, Foster said you'd mail this to Bald Eagle Area High School for me, so you do that.
Hey, real quick, since we're speaking about making the school districts pay for things,
yep.
Is Mrs. Hoy supposed to give you guys the bill for ACES? If I'm going to ACES, it's $100. Or am I supposed to pay for that? Or
no, nobody's supposed to pay for it. The Pennsylvania FFA will pay. So she's supposed to indicate that you're going and say Penn State student teacher.
Okay.
And then at the end of the day, Mike Brammer looks at ACES and SLLC and writes us one invoice for whatever y'all chosen that we're supposed to pay for.
Okay.
Good question. Anything else?
Yeah, on that, if we potentially go to both, if our program is going to go to both, what would you suggest with that?
The school has to pick up the cost of the other one.
Okay, sounds good.
And so to be honest, Kayla, ACES is more expensive. You bill Penn State for ACES. SLLC is more expensive. You'll bill Penn State for that. And the school pays for you to be a chaperone with ACES.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Laura, I stepped in there to kind of help facilitate because I think I heard some fun stuff going on. Or do you
No, I'm here. We're good.
Do you want to pick up the torch?
So just trying to multitask with stickers and highlighters. Speaking of highlights, moving on. Great list, guys. I'm excited to help Dr. Foster identify people to offer these. Just to remind you of what you have. What my list consisted of was student motivation, time management, differentiation, literacy, budgets, CDE integration, and then engaging activities, like the last bit of the conversation was there. So if you think of anything else, feel free to email us, and we can always bring it up at one of our later meetings. So with that being said, thank you for helping me accomplish Objective 1. The next thing is the highlights from the weekly student teacher and cooperating teacher survey. So I know that there was a little bit of confusion on the surveys, but Everybody is doing good. I think this week everyone, including cooperating teachers, did do all of them, so I appreciate that. Just make sure you're sitting time at the end of the day on Friday. It's probably better to do them on Friday before you leave, and that way they get done. But I'm not telling you to do that. It's just a suggestion. With that being said, we do like to cover some of the highlights. So I think we should start with GEMS. Some big themes across the board was that the cooperating teachers are really impressed with your preparation. Almost every one of your cooperating teachers said that you are well prepared, that you arrive early, that you are facilitating, engaging lessons. That's another gem on there. And so preparation is 3/4 of the battle. You hear us say that probably in the fall a lot. So thank you for being prepared and having engaging lessons. The other gem that they really stressed in a lot of them was that your demeanor and rapport, not only your demeanor and rapport with students, but with them as cooperating teachers, and asking good questions and seeking answers and seeking guidance from people outside of them. They were really impressed with that. So I appreciate you guys and being proactive, not reactive. So that's good. Some areas though that you guys can, I know that it's funny because a lot of the things that we have listed here as opportunities are things that both you as student teachers and the cooperating teachers listed. So you are recognizing these as areas that you could see improvement. These are just things for you to, nothing terribly wrong, but there's always room for constructive criticism. And so timing, the opening and closing of each class, a lot of comments about making sure you post objectives. Folks, make sure you post objectives. And then closing class, making sure you're taking that time to go back and review your objectives, and having that closure for the lesson, making the connection and the cognitive connect. So make sure you're doing that. Clarity of instruction is something that we see with a lot of new and beginning teachers, is that they need work on. And so you'll find a groove, you'll find a way that works for your students as well as yourself. So just keep seeking out ways to be more clear and to and provide instructions that are clear to students. Flexibility is something that it was funny. Miranda said this at the beginning of the class, of the meeting, that her word with Mr. Clark this week was flexibility, and a lot of almost every single cooperating teacher said that flexibility is key in this profession, and we agree, and we all know that you know that too. So just always be flexible. And the last thing is assertiveness in classroom management. You are the disciplinarian of the class, so make sure you know that, and make sure that you are utilizing your posters, your classroom management posters, and you are holding fast to them. So that's the highlights. Any questions, comments on that?
My classroom management posters are way too small. They can't see them.
Really?
Really, really.
That's interesting. So the what did we do? What did we pitch y'all to? 12 by 15?
No, it's like 17 by something, right, Snyder? We got them together. And you guys told me at my final presentation they were too small.
I think it's 11 by 17.
Was it 11 by 17? Too small.
Ours are the same size. Do you have a big room or something?
Maybe, and
It's like mine is pretty big.
The kids in Mifflinburg have better eyesight. They eat a lot of carrots.
They all have a set of binoculars.
That's interesting. Of course, we balance that kind of feedback to have you have something, because we know how important they are, but also not break the bank.
I also have another thought about those. I feel like some of the stuff that I have on mine I thought was important, and now I don't feel like it's so important.
Wow.
So I don't know what I think you should do with that. That's just a thought.
Well, we all evolve as we go forward. I tend to remember yours being fairly solid, but I would caution you against being one of those teachers that tries to legislate every detail out with your rules. That generally does not work. Usually that's why most of you have a catch-all called respect that you can use as needed. I would say that the point I was getting at, if you want to revisit those, most schools have a large format printer as part of their business program or something, and that's not too expensive for them to do. And I've seen them just hook up my past student teachers left and right. It's all about relationships. And so does this exist in our school district? Can I create something for teaching with it? And would it cost, or can they provide it for free? So, the worst thing anybody can ever tell you is no, so don't be afraid to ask. Other questions or concerns or thoughts is where Dr. Ross has us. Well, she'll purposely build in this open, what I call cattle call every time, just say, hey, this is on my chest and I want to share it, by God. That's what this moment is.
I know like a few of us have talked about how like what we expected our students to be able to do as we were writing lesson plans, and they're sort of like falling short of that. Is that something like across the board that you guys are seeing, or is that just sort of like maybe some of the schools that we are placed in?
Are you asking me, or are you asking your counterparts?
No, everybody, all the student teachers.
Yeah. So are you seeing, let's talk about this. I'll help him reframe his question. Do your students perform at the level of academic ability that you expected?
Are they dum-dums?
I did not say that.
Yes, but sometimes we need to bring it down to Ewing's level. So thank you for letting me know what you meant.
I feel like it's maybe for me it's a little too early to tell, because I think we're still getting into some of the introduction of the topic.
Sure.
But I would say I feel like yes, they're at the level that I'm teaching them at. But I think once it gets into maybe more difficult stuff, some of the more labs and stuff, I think that's where I'll be able to answer that question better. But for now, I feel pretty okay with the level that they're at.
Okay.
I think an example I can say for what Cahill's saying is like, so I was texting Kayla the other morning, like I went full inquiry on these kids with the CO2 sensors and everything.
Dude, that just sounds dirty. I went full inquiry.
Full inquiry. And I just told them, I was like, here they are, here's what you're going to do. And, first it was like, Mrs. Hoy was like, you better show them how to use the sensors first. So then that was a whole day's worth of lesson to show them how to use the sensors. And then it was like, okay, write hypothesis. And then not a single one of the groups, of 5 groups of kids, and these are like 10th, 11th, 12th graders, could write a hypothesis that was actually testable. And then it was like, okay, write procedures, and then none of them could write procedures. So this goes from being a potentially 1-day lesson to, I think it ended up taking 4 days, because it was 3 days. It was like Thursday, it was Thursday, Friday, and then of course, unfortunately, I had to try to do a reflection on Monday, which that meant like no one knew anything. I don't remember anything over the weekend. So it just like 1 day becomes 3, and it was crazy.
Go ahead.
So I'm kind of with you on that, but I'm like really okay with it, because I'm realizing that like it's not. Yes, it's partially on them, but it's also on me of like, I need to figure out where in the world to start. And so like to what you were saying, Ryder, like I tried that as well. And yesterday and today. And so Doug and I just like processed it all through, and we took a look at that chart. And he's like, he taught the same class last semester. He said, I started with them over in like the A's. That's like the less inquiry, right? So like A's, he's like, I maybe got them to the middle of the B or the C, just because we have been told all about inquiry and we are ready for that. So I think I keep forgetting that like, that's where we're at. But also like, I don't necessarily know how to, maybe this is kind of what you're talking about, Kayla. Like, I don't know how to pause and wait in that. Like, that's hard for me to pause and wait for them to be at the point that I kind of expected them to be at in 10 minutes versus 20.
These are really good comments. I love hearing y'all share what you're experiencing, by the way, if you care. And you can read on it, because then you can see how I agree is what we call the zone of proximal development. And are we teaching within that zone? So that's that Ed Psych class you had, Vygotsky, I believe, coming back to life. But remember these things as you go forward, okay, gang? There's no magic pills. There's no waving of a wand. That's why we teach it. Sometimes it's messy. Like what I'd be curious to ask Ryder would be, all right, you take that same group of kids and next week said, hey, create a hypothesis. maybe one of the 5 groups could do it? Like, do we get improvement? Like, after struggling, back and through this, and if we try it again, would it be easier? And then
I think something I did that will do that is I made them switch procedures. So like they wrote procedures, and then I made them switch hypothesis and procedures with another group. And a couple of the groups, it's like, there's this one girl who's like, she's way up there on the academic scale, and she was like so angry that she had to get these other, like, the slower kids, hypothesis. And then, I couldn't get them to reflect on Monday, but on Friday I heard so many of them complaining, like, this procedure stinks. I don't even know what I'm doing. They didn't even say. I had to make this up. So I think, like, next time I have them write procedures, it's going to be awesome, or it's going to be much better. And I'm looking forward to when I get to do that with them.
So you're creating, because of how you choose to facilitate, you are creating teachable learning moments, right? So that, like, that experience happened, now you get to go back to it. So just remember, it's finally, like, all these sayings are coming out. Cat's cover thing in the litter box. Like, I know that we can be frustrated that this was a one-day lesson in our plan, but just doing it and then say, okay, next lesson, don't accomplish squat. If it took 3 to 4 days to get us through it, that's the process. Teaching and learning can be messy, and every time you'll become more efficient and have a better grasp and touch on the pulse of where they are for zone of proximal development. And, oh, John Ewing, you are such a unique colleague. Anyway, and they will become to acclimate to your teaching style, and together you will be an efficient team.
I kind of have a question going off of that topic, if we're done with that. Like, it's kind of related.
Go for it, Miranda.
So like, I planned in my head, like, this lesson would take 1 day, and this one might take 2 days or whatever. And it ends up taking like 3, maybe 4 days to get through it all. And I want to be clear with them about, like, this is when we're going to have a test, or this is when we're going to have a quiz. And I don't want to surprise them. But I'm finding that hard to tell them a day if I don't even know how long it's going to take them to do that. So I guess if there's any suggestions for that, I mean.
Well, sure. Don't try to assume so much authority. Like, say, hey, we're a team. Here's what we're going to shoot for this test. Mm-hmm. I've never heard too many kids get upset if you say, hey, we're not there yet because we haven't finished this. So it's going to be tomorrow or the next week instead of today. You'll only get burned if you try to move it up, not if you move it back. And what you'll have to be cautious of, though, is them playing you and seeing how far they can get you to move the test back.
Right. So yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
I mean, they'll try. You just say, hey, guys, I told you to be on this day, and you always hold those cards as you go forward. I think what also you'll discover that's interesting is this notion that teachers struggle with all the time of need to know versus nice to know. As you begin seeing that, oh crap, it took 2 days to get this very important concept down, that extra concept that would have been really fun, I may have to cut that out because it's not core. It's extra. It's value added. It's not core to accomplish these unit objectives. And honestly, there's no magic pill that's from experience. It's like saying, yep, it would have been nice to tell them about heritage breeds of cattle or whatever, but we're going to cut that because it was more important to know about bovine nutrition or wherever you're at. Good comments. I really feel like this might have been the best call I've had in several years. I don't know if it's the platform because I can see you, or if it's the sharing and the ideas. I appreciate it. Dr. Ross, I think we'll pitch it back to you. It's definitely John Ewing. That's what's making it the best call we've ever had.
That is.
And just imagine if you could see him.
So something fun that we decided.
I need to find a sponsor to buy me a camera.
So something fun that we decided to do.
Oh, well, look at this. Go ahead, Dr. Ross.
Something new this year we decided to do is tweets of the week. And I hope I didn't lose you. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Tweets of the week. So.
This was not my idea, but it is amazing. Good job, whoever came up with it. Okay, was it you, Kayla?
No,
yeah, it's Kayla. I'm sure it's Kayla.
Why is she sitting there cheering like she did it?
are you talking about the Ag Mech idea that I tweeted?
No, like
Because
the
I thought that
actual
was your
idea of the idea of
not mine,
tweets of the
sorry.
week.
Ewing, she's just excited that she made the board of fame right there.
Well, I
Like,
got news. You people don't stand a chance from here on out. I'm in. I'm
oh,
all
really?
in.
Are you calling all out? Like, Ewing is going to win the tweet of the week. I want to see that. Challenge accepted.
Well, which week am I leading? Because I guarantee you that week they're all mine.
So this was an idea that Dr. Foster came up with and shared with me, and I thought it was really cool. And so basically when I was pulling together this presentation today, to be open and honest, how I did it is I went through and searched your hashtag and looked through all of them. And to be honest, some of the ones, especially Matt Ryder's, because I saw this whenever he originally tweeted it out, and I just thought it was a really cool image. And I thought, this is his wheelhouse. I'm sure he's probably rocking out this lesson. And I just thought it was really cool how he projected that onto the screen and then wrote on the screen, because it's maybe not the newest technology using an overhead. I'm assuming that's what he used. I'm not even sure. But I just thought it was a really cool. And it
No, I
kept,
used a chalkboard.
what's
I used
that?
the projector to a chalkboard. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, it was, but I just thought it caught my eye. I thought it was a really great tweet because it was educational as well as just very Matt Ryder-ish. And I thought Matt had a lot of good tweets this week, but I only could pick one of his. And I was only going to stick to two, but then I just felt Kayla spoke to me in a lot of senses because I saw her perform this in her lab. And I just thought it was a really great activity and rapping and the whole kind of intriguing moment, taking like they have to unwrap it. And so I thought that was really fun. But then I was moved by Matt Snyder's because he is set at such a historical landmark. It's the oldest chapter in Pennsylvania, and so it's just a really great chapter to be with. And Chuck Kessler is just, he's one of the few of the old school folks, and I just think that tweet just, I guess it also hit me because my husband's from that area and he always speaks of Mifflinburg and Mr. Kessler and his years growing up. So those are the tweets of the week that I selected, but you all have been doing great tweets. And so, but these are the ones that caught my eye the most. So congratulations. A good
So,
pat
Dr.
on the back
Ross.
is what you get.
I think you'll keep track of that. We can have like a tote board. We'll see who gets the most tweets of the week over the course of the semester. It is funny. The way I hear Dr. Ross, I don't know if it's her connection. It goes really slow and then it goes really fast. It's like, so I'm like, okay, Dr. Ross can't do these from home anymore. I think she's already partaking. She's talking like she's had a few sniffs of the good stuff, in preparation for the thing. No, Ryder, this is being recorded. I've got to teach you more skills. Come on, brother.
Maybe she did. Anyhow. Kayla, make sure you see my last question there. That's an amazing idea. Is there anyone you want to give props to or anything?
Jeez, you sound like I think Kayla did a good job of casting.
Maybe I didn't do it with her class because she's just smiling like Ewing. I'm not giving you any credit. Did I not do it with your class, Kayla?
Oh, you did. I totally stole the idea.
Oh, my goodness. Come on. Give Ewing oh, there it is. I see it now. In all caps. Thank you. It just took a minute to get there. Cyberspace.
Dr. Ross, what's next?
All right. So another idea that Dr. Foster had that we wanted to implement this year is that sometimes your student teaching can be really overwhelming, and sometimes just having a moment of zen, of clarity, allow you to think, or a moment to think back and reflect and kind of bring that words of wisdom to the group would be important. So we decided to integrate a moment of zen into our online meetings, and each week 2 student teachers will be assigned to provide moments of zen. So first things first, our next meeting, which is February 7th, those doing a moment of zen will be Michael Cahill and Evelyn Zaleski. You do not have to work together. You can have your own moments of zen to share with the group. And I just provided some graphics there and the definition of zen so that you understand. Provided a few.
It's so funny listening to you, Laura. This is just cracking me up. How many of you have ever, that was stolen from The Daily Show, like Jon Stewart, he'd do that moment of zen. So it can be funny, it can be whatever. Just a moment for you to share something kind of hilarious. So it'll be fun. I look forward to seeing what the moments of zen are from Cahill and Zaleski. I know, I did it to get the look. I got the look.
You should have saw my face.
Oh, gosh.
So that's something fun. If you have questions about that, just shoot me an email. Like Dr. Foster said, it can be funny, it can be serious, it can be, you know, however you want to take it, but it's to be lighthearted, if nothing else. So,
Wonderful. I appreciate it. Sorry, I had to. Everybody's laughing. I love it. Hey, you're doing.
Laura, are you still there?
I'm here. So next up is the important dates. I just thought I'd put everything that I had on my calendar. I'm sure there's some things that I'm missing, but on this slide are some really important dates. First of all of the online faculty meetings are listed on here, so there should be no excuses not to knowing when they are. But also, obviously, one of the big things coming up on Friday is the GLAD conference. I know that some of you, at least, maybe all of you, I'm not sure, Dr. Foster could probably answer that, are signed up to attend the GLAD conference. He did just send out an email over the listserv that there's a discounted price if you haven't signed up. So if you haven't and are interested, shoot Dr. Foster an email. Like I said, some stuff coming up. One of the things I do want to draw your attention to in February, our second online meeting, we will see you again here online, is February 7th. That same week, we have our first Student Teacher Seminar. So, I have my slides out of order. Couple things I want to prep you for the Job Prep Bootcamp to be thinking about, because I will be sending an email, but I thought I would share it with you tonight, and then you could ask some questions tonight if you had them. If not, you could shoot me emails. But basically, it's the Job Prep Bootcamp. We're getting you ready to go through these interviews, and two of the stations that you'll be engaging in are resume and cover letter. And first of all, you need to have an updated, complete resume. Nothing half done, not, I was going to add this and I'll do it whenever I actually apply. These need to be resumes completed. We are having experts come in and they're going to share with you what you should change, how you can change it, that type of thing. So you need to do that. I will be following it up with an email with a Google link that you need to drop that in closer to time. But just have it on your radar that you need to have an updated, complete resume done for February 10th. You also need to have a cover letter with you and dropped into a Google Drive folder. But the cover letter needs to be for a job that you would actually apply for. So you can find any job that I've shared or you've found on your own that you're like, yeah, I would totally apply for this, or I am applying for this, or I want to apply for this, and write a cover letter for that job. And whenever you submit that material into the Google Drive, you'll need to submit the job description and the cover letter so that the individual we have coming in who worked for a professional firm writing cover letters knows what job you applied for and how you wrote your cover letter to fit that. So just some things to keep in mind. I will be sending a follow-up, but things to be thinking about. Any questions? Any questions on the dates or this?
Yeah, I just posted mine on there. Can you clarify the second meeting date, please?
Yeah, Kayla, I was wrong. I have it on my calendar as the 7th, and I rescheduled your supervision visit because I thought it was the 6th. So is that what you were clarifying about? Is that what we were talking about? Is that what you wanted to know?
So the visit date will be on Tuesday the 7th.
If you could just clarify, when is the online meeting?
The 7th.
And Dr. S and I can talk about our supervising visit.
Tuesday the 7th.
Okay, sounds good. Cool.
Sorry, Kayla. I had that wrong on my calendar originally. So here are the dates again, if you need to reference them.
Well, team, keep taking those first steps up that ladder, and I think you'll be surprised how easy it is. You're doing good things. You're doing worthwhile work. It makes a difference. Live in the moment. Live in the present. Give it all you got, one day at a time. Thanks.
See you, everybody. Have a good one.
I'll stay on as long as you have questions and anybody wants to talk. This is my one chance to kind of just be there for you. But I think that we've reached the end of the meeting, and so if you need to go, you got people waiting on you, and go eat your dinner. You can log off. I'll stay on until everybody logs off.
Oh, see, I ate my dinner while we were doing this because nobody could see me. It was
You,
tasty. Plus, I get pizza at CFFA tonight.
you're such a piece of work.
I am, and that's why. You love working with me.
Yes.
I'm
Any other questions or concerns from
Oh,
anybody?
There's like a real thing here. We better be quiet. What is that, Mr. Ryder?
gonna go eat dinner.
Oh, that's not a real thing. I'm messing with you.
I'll see you like next week, Dr. Ewing.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Should be good. It's one of those days next
Matt
week.
Ryder, before
Yes.
you leave, call me after you're done with dinner, okay?
Okay. I'll call you after Lily goes
Okay.
to bed. I think it'll be after 7.
Sounds good.
All right.
That's
Oh,
You
fine.
goes to bed at 7? You're
I
an
wanna go to bed.
unlucky father, dude. Like, I'm getting home from a meeting like at 10 tonight, and my kids will be up like, ah!
It's genetics.
Yeah, all right.
See you guys.
See ya. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Miranda.
Bye, Miranda.
Bye, everybody.
I'll see you guys.
Later, Cahill. Later, Snyder. Rapids, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Dr. Foster.
Woo! See ya.
Maybe.
And
Snyder and Kayla. Kayla, what do you need?
She's on to talk to me about action research.
oh,
Or you can, she
You
can talk
guys-
to you too.
I mean, you're welcome to stay on too, but that's what we're going to talk about quick.
not that I don't want to hear, but I will catch up later.
Sure.
Hey, good. Yeah.
Hey, you would be
Fine.
proud of me though, Dr. Ewing. You don't have to. Don't worry about it. But
Oh,
you
yeah,
would be
okay.
proud of me. I had to do a shop scenario, safety scenario. So
Yes.
I had to figure out how to take a shield off of something so that they could identify that that was wrong. So
Oh,
I took a shield off of a grinder.
okay.
Figured it out on my own.
Did we remember to put it back
Oh,
on?
yes. I put it back on. I tightened it and everything.
Wow, very good. All right.
Fine.
You're doing great. All right, I'll catch up with you later.
Sounds
Bye, guys.
Yep, bye.
Okay, so I just wanted to quick clarify this, and I'm going to talk with Doug and Jasmine more about it this week, but I kind of want to get a start on it because, yeah, it's something I want to do no matter if it counts as action research or not, but I just wanted to make sure kind of I was on the right track. So my big topic or problem that I've identified is all about vocabulary and literacy, if you didn't realize that or catch that already. But I think what I want to do is like a very brief synopsis is pre-test, post-test. Some of those will be like academic vocab, so analyze, hypothesis, things like that. And then the other part of that will be like food chemistry terms or food or lipids terms or things like that are content specific versus academic, general science, research specific. And then like each unit do some different type of vocabulary overview, whether that's like explicit or whether that's like in context or a review activity or review game or something like that, just to reinforce some of the academic vocab, which is a big deal here. And then just kind of like pre-test and post-test, but also take some like, what did you think type tests, like not tests really, but like, what did you prefer? What helped you kind of like in the middle of that?
So I apologize if it comes across really weird, like my
It's okay. No, it doesn't now.
I think that it's a couple years ago, someone did action research focused on literacy, and I can't remember exactly who it was. But the main thing to remember is when you're doing action research is that you are clearly identifying how you're going to measure
Okay.
versus X and Y in another class or another set of students or at a different
Okay.
time. So as long as you clearly articulate what you're measuring,
Okay.
you're measuring it, and then
Okay.
basically,
Hold on just 1 second. Sorry.
okay.
Sorry, I'm still at the school, so I wanted to
That's okay.
check one quick thing with them.
You're totally fine. So I basically, as long as you articulate what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what you're looking for. So if you're saying I'm looking to see their improved understanding or their improved X, Y, or Z, or however whatever you're specifically looking at,
Okay.
so it's measurable.
Okay.
It sounds like it would be a great project. I think I mean, obviously aligns with your interests. So when you're doing something you're interested in and you want to know more about, you're more likely to have a research project that means something and you actually follow through and find value in it and complete it. Hey, Doug. And
She says hello.
and yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's a good project. I love that you're thinking about it and you're running to get started already, because now is the time to implement it so that you can collect enough data to actually say something.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
Very cool. I will, and so I'll probably have a little bit of a start on it when you come to visit. But so just to clarify that quick, did you still want to come on the 7th or do you want to come on the 6th?
So the 6th was the first day we originally talked about, right? Yeah, let's go with the 6th.
The 6th? Okay, that's fine.
Once I realized that today or yesterday or whatever day that I was like, oh, this isn't actually the day that I thought, I was going to contact you and see if you wanted to go back.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll make sure that we put it on I just put it on mine and I'll make sure they know.
Okay. So what I'll be sending an email just saying, like, outlining, like, here's everything you need to have ready to go whenever I get there.
Okay.
And it'll be like what times your classes are, what time you start, that type of thing.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah. But
Okay.
I didn't realize you started so early, so I'll probably come. My sister lives literally minutes from Peckway.
Okay.
So I'll probably stay there, but that's no problem. Not your concern either way.
Okay.
But you'll be getting an email from me now that I have all my dates set. So.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. And then I did want to ask you, I need to finish some things up on it, but I'm contemplating applying for the Dover job. So I was wondering if you'd be willing to write a letter of recommendation for that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You don't mind just sending me an email so that I can be reminded of that?
Okay.
And if you want it
Sounds
by,
good.
I will get it done.
Yep. Okay. And I'll send like my resume and cover letter and stuff that I have for it to you as well. So.
And see, you're getting stuff done for the 10th. There you go.
Yes. But yeah, thank you. And the thing on the 9th that I talked to you about, we have like way too much other stuff going on that week that I'm just like, nope, not gonna, because we have ACES that week, you're coming that week. I'm gonna go to the Lancaster County Officer meeting. Like it's just a lot. So I'm just not gonna do that.
Another thing too, you asked about the banquet, the night of your banquet.
Oh yeah.
So after I sent that email, because I thought that was like the easiest thing for you, but after I talked to Foster, he was like, no, you should definitely give her the option. She just has to recreate the experience that she would be missing. So if she's missing 8 instructional hours, there would be an alternative assignment.
Okay.
So if you are still thinking about missing to go to the banquet, we just need to talk about what we're doing that day, what the expectations for you would be, what that alternative assignment would look like. Honestly, alternative assignments sometimes are a lot harder, but I understand the importance and the sentimental value of going back to the banquet. So and plus I don't underestimate your ability to do the alternative assignments.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can chat about that when it gets a little closer. But yeah, thanks for answering those questions. That helps quite a bit.
Okay.
Because then I can get started on that.
Okay. Wonderful. If you have other questions, just shoot me an email, call me. Text me. I'm sorry about I've been slow on text lately.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I don't mean to.
It's okay.
So. Good.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good evening.